So as many of you know, EA Sports released their Madden 16 trailer a couple days ago. Of course, the game will feature Odell Beckham Jr. on the cover due to the cover vote. One of my theories is the reason Gronkowski wasn't picked was because of all the controversy surrounding Deflategate right now, and I don't think that would have went over well with the NFL had Gronkowski been on the cover. My personal vote was for Antonio Brown, but of course he did not make it to the finals regardless. But this year Madden is implementing a couple features that they're really pushing this year, and that's the total control passing and the what they call the wide receiver and defensive back interactions, and their take on that. And this is a big disappointment, as if you've played Madden the past couple years, you know that the total control passing was first implemented in Madden 13 and possibly even in iterations before that, but it was pushed in Madden 13, and now we're 3 games away from that and they're introducing it as a new feature. And EA Sports has done this consistently throughout the years. They've always brought back features. They'll always bring in features and take them away and bring them back and call them new features. So it's very disappointing. I thought with all of the speculation of Montana 16 coming out that maybe Madden would have stepped up their game for Madden 16, knowing that there would have been some competition. And what scares me about this is that if they aren't intimidated at all, it's either because they know something that we don't know, or they're just totally arrogant, which EA Sports is known to be. So right now I'm leaning towards the arrogance. But a couple things I wanted to note were I really doubt that Montana 16 will have the NFL license. If they did have the NFL license, you could have bet your ass that the NFL would have been pushing this video game, perhaps maybe even as much as they push Madden, because if the NFL is going to have its name on a product, it is going to be advertising it out the ass, and that is the complete opposite of what we've seen from Montana 16 so far. So I can pretty much with confidence say that you can forget about the NFL license for this year. And a lot of people have known that, but some people have been clinging on to the hopes that Montana 16 will feature the NFL license. I am just saying you shouldn't get your hopes up for that, because like I said, if the NFL had its name on this product, it would not let this product just sit back and not be talked about at all for as long as it has been. Another point I wanted to make is a lot of people think this game, Montana 16, is being very new, they're developing it within the past year or so. That's a total rumor. Video games from the ground up take years to make, and if Montana 16 is in fact building this from the ground up, from the Unreal 4 engine like we've seen, this game has been developed for probably at least 2 or 3 years. And it's probably near the very final touches right now. If they're hoping for a July release, they've got to start sending it out to get duplicated and packaged, so it's probably near that stage already. If not, they're just putting the final touches on the game, and that's if it's to be released this year, which many people believe. I just wanted to talk about a couple of things that I hope Montana 16 or future generations of the game will feature in their game. But right before that, just one more point I wanted to make was that I believe it will take at least, and this is very on the safe side, at least 3 years before Montana 16 could even compete with Madden, and that's if it has the NFL license. Madden has built up such a household name, such a legacy for itself, on the simple fact of the name alone, let alone the gameplay. I mean, casual gamers love Madden. Let's not mistake that. Yes, of course, the sim communities can see past all of the glitz and glamour of the name and the cover votes and all that, but casual gamers really enjoy the game, and you know, it's an alright game, but like everyone wants a simulation game, and that's not what Madden is. But I believe it'll take Montana 16 at least 3 years, probably closer to 5 years, to really compete with Madden on the sales level. Madden has everything from the cover vote, which people go crazy about as we've seen. They have, of course, Madden's name behind the whole thing, and they've had the exclusive license for the past 10 years or so. So and that was a smart decision by them. So, but once Montana 16 gets an NFL license, if it ever does, 5 years you should expect it to really compete, and that's going to be very tough for the game to last that long if it's not competing in the sales category like Madden does. As you've seen in the past, you know, with All Pro Football and Backbreaker, it's very hard for these teams to continue to develop football products that are unlicensed because they just simply don't sell that well. Now, if Montana 16 and future iterations of the game feature gameplay that is mind-blowing compared to Madden, then that may change, but we'll just have to wait and see. But a couple of the things I wanted to see in this game is, it's obviously, to compete with Madden, it's got to have a deep franchise mode. There's no secret about that. It's got to have the deep franchise mode is the #1 important part for the first game. I'm not so worried about my career because that will come in the future. I'm sure they will have a My Career mode or something similar to that, but do not expect it to be on the level of 2K right now. Madden's Connected Career has been a disappointment, in my opinion. All they've basically done is combined Superstar mode and franchise mode, and my theory is that they've done this to kind of cut back on the production of it. Instead of developing 2 modes, they're developing 1 mode, and which is probably easier for them to do. So again, they're cutting corners in every way possible. It's a good idea in theory, the Connected Careers, but I do not believe that Madden or EA really delivers what gamers expect, or at least simulation or the hardcore football gamers expect. So Madden 16 will have to have a deep franchise mode, #1. It will have to have a decent career mode to begin with. In the future years, it'll have to pick up and eventually probably have something similar to what NBA 2K has with their My Career. But one of the things I want to see in this franchise mode is, if you want to appeal to casual gamers, when I play franchise mode, I kind of play casually. I don't, you know, do years and years of franchise mode. I'll just kind of play a season or 2 here and there, and I'll restart most of the time after a couple years have gone by. But if Joe Montana wants to bring something to the table for casual gamers, I don't believe in Madden that you can sim past the scouting aspect of the game. Like, you can't just, you know, like how you can simulate games where, you know, it'll give you a score and stats and everything like that. You can't simulate scouting where you'll have your team of scouts go out and scout people for you. I don't believe you can do that. You have to manually go in and click, and that's another thing with Madden scouting. I don't really like it. you basically just will go in and click on a player that you think you're interested in, or that's on the big board around when you're expected to pick, and you'll just click a button. I mean, you'll go to his speed and you'll click, and you'll spend points that you earn every week, and you'll just click a button and it'll give you a letter grade of what it projects this player to be. I don't like that at all. I think Joe Montana 16 has to have a combine, a playable combine, or a combine that you can watch, or even just take away the stats from the combine. I don't think Madden has, and you can correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not totally sure. I don't play the game that much anymore, to be honest. But I don't think Madden has I know they certainly don't have a playable combine where you can pick, you know, a player that, in theory, I would have a system where you can pick, you know, 5 players from each positional group that you think that you might be interested in, or that's on the big board around when you would pick. And you would pick 5 players from each position, and you would be able to run through drills with them like a combine setup. You'd be able to run through drills with them like you would in real life. And I think this would benefit a lot. You'd be able to see a lot of the players' strengths and weaknesses through gameplay, and that's the biggest thing is the gameplay, because a lot of the times I'll like playing with a player that isn't necessarily the highest rated overall, because I just like the feel that they offer. I like the underdog aspect of everything. So sometimes I'll, you know, sit a starter, or if a starter gets injured, I'll be more than happy to play with one of the backups. And I think if you're able to play with a playable combine, I think you'll be able to see these players for how you'll get a feel for them, and less of what the rating is and, oh, we've got to have the highest rated player. And that leads me to my next point. When you're going through the draft process in Montana 16, should it have a combine and a draft, I think that it would benefit from not having ratings thrown on the player. A couple years ago, Madden had, I think it was around 07, 08, 09, something around there, maybe even up to 11. But I know around that time, Madden had a, like when you would go to scout a player, or when you would go to draft a player, you could see their stats. Like, you could see how they projected against other linebackers and stuff, like in the real NFL. How when they scout players, they have player charts where they'll compare their height and weight to other positions, to the same position of players in the league. They'll compare their 40-yard dashes, their cone times, their jumps, everything like that, their bench presses, and it'll all be on a little chart for you to see how they compare to their position around the league. And I really wish Madden would have never taken that away, because instead of scouting, when I would go into my draft in Madden with this feature, I would use only this feature. I would not scout. I would use only this feature to pick my players. And you could find some real late round gems in this aspect, because you could see their measurables and see that maybe this player slipped. Who knows why they slipped, but they have great measurables. Let's take a chance on them. And a lot of the times when they would have great measurables in the game, they would turn out to be good players. And I just think that would be something that Montana 16 could benefit from. It'd probably be an easy feature to do. You just have to simulate, you know, their measurables. Of course, Montana 16 will have to have the dynamic draft classes that Madden added. Simply because for online league play, you don't want to be able to exploit draft classes like you were able to in the past with Madden. So it's going to have dynamic generating draft classes. Obviously, the number one thing that Montana 16 has to beat out Madden with is the gameplay. Simply better animations, a better physics engine, which Unreal Engine 4 offers compared to the Ignite engine that EA uses. Less glitches, less things to exploit in the game, like, you know, certain routes in Madden where you throw it a certain way, you're pretty much guaranteed a touchdown or, you know, a completion or like a long game. I think Madden has to, I mean, Montana really has to work on not having as many exploitable plays. And I think that can be easily done with better animations, better AI, better tackling, better physics. All that goes into it. They've got to have good online play, good servers. They can't be crashing or lagging all the time. Dedicated servers. And probably most important of all would be to just stick with it. Do not give up after 1 year. You gotta keep making these games and keep bringing down EA. If Joe Montana's goal is to really have competition, he cannot be one and done. He has to invest, him and that team of Damon Grow and others, and whoever is developing this game, whoever is publishing this game, cannot give up after 1 year. That is the most important, single most important part. If this game sticks around, and it's as good as they say, it's as good as they're pushing it to be, it's as good as we're speculating it to be, it will be successful eventually. It will be able to compete with Madden on a sales level eventually. It will take time, but I believe Damon Grow and company are grinding very hard, and I believe that they're smart enough to realize that this is not gonna all happen in one game. They're gonna have to release a few games, they're gonna have to keep improving, and they will eventually beat Madden. And that is my opinion, of course. But we will just have to wait and see what happens. We're just about a month away from E3. We'll see what happens at E3, and hopefully they'll be there to present to us Joe Montana Football 16. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Leave a like or comment. Find me on Twitter. My name is Ivory Mammoth, @Ivory Mammoth, and hopefully I'll be talking with you soon.